Good morning, students. Welcome to the biology class of 8. Today, we are going to discuss the topic the nitrogen cycle. But before we start this topic, let us understand the concept of nitrogen fixation and its role in the nitrogen cycle. Likewise, also we will discuss the role of lightning in the nitrogen cycle. Dear students, nitrogen is a very important element in making of proteins by plants. But plants cannot utilize it directly from atmosphere. In atmosphere, we know that there is 78% of nitrogen, isn't it? But it cannot be utilized directly by plants for making of proteins. Now, in order that the nitrogen gas of atmosphere can be utilized by plants for their growth, it has first to be converted into nitrogen compounds, okay, which can be absorbed by the roots of the plants. Understand? Therefore, the process of converting nitrogen gas of atmosphere into compounds of nitrogen which can be used by the plants is called nitrogen fixation. The nitrogen gas is the free nitrogen, whereas nitrogen compounds like nitrates are said to be fixed nitrogen. Understand, children? Certain nitrogen fixing bacteria and blue-green algae play very important role in the nitrogen fixation. Open the page 38. Besides nitrogen fixation, lightning also helps in the fixing of nitrogen into the soil and helps in the nitrogen cycle. This happens as follows. When lightning takes place in the sky during thunderstorm, a high temperature is produced in the atmosphere. At this high temperature, nitrogen gas of air combines with oxygen gas of air to form nitrogen compounds. Okay. So this nitrogen and oxygen of atmosphere, they combine to form nitrogen compounds like nitrogen oxide. Okay, children. Now, these nitrogen compounds dissolve in rainwater to form nitrates, nitrate compounds. Okay, and then fall to earth with rainwater and go into the soil. Understand? Dear students, hope the concept of nitrogen fixation and the role of lightning in the nitrogen fixation will help you in understanding the nitrogen cycle. So, let us start the nitrogen cycle discussion. Dear students, please be attentive when the class is going on. This is a very new concept which you are going to learn today. Now, what is nitrogen cycle? The circulation of nitrogen element through living things, plants and animals, and non-living environments like air, soil and water is called nitrogen cycle in nature. Understand, children? Now, look at the diagram of nitrogen cycle on the screen of your device. Do you see, children? Okay. We will now describe the nitrogen cycle in nature. Now, look at the box given at the top of the diagram. It is written atmospheric nitrogen gas. Children, we all know that atmosphere or air contains 78% of nitrogen gas. Now, look at the yellow box given on the left hand side of the diagram of nitrogen cycle in nature. Have you noticed, children? Okay. It is written nitrogen fixing bacteria, blue-green algae and lightning fix atmospheric nitrogen. Actually, there are certain nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the soil and in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Understand, children? As well as blue-green algae is also present in the soil. Okay? And on the other hand, lightning in the sky. So all these three fix nitrogen gas from the atmosphere and convert it into compounds of nitrogen which go into soil. Understand? Now what happens after that? To understand this, look at the yellow box at the bottom of the diagram written compounds of nitrogen in soil, and also see the arrow coming out from this yellow box and going to the blue box where plants is written. Children, have you located this? Yes. So what happens? The compounds of the nitrogen in soil, that is the nitrates and all, they are absorbed by the plants. Okay. The plants absorb the nitrogen compounds from the soil through their roots. Okay, children. Now, what will the plants do with this nitrogen compounds? The plant will convert the compounds of nitrogen into plant proteins. We all know, isn't it, children? And the other organic compounds like nucleic acids and vitamins, okay, which make up the body of plants. Okay, so the nitrogen compounds are used by the plants in for the growth of the plant. Understand? Children, we all know that plants are eaten up by the animals as food, isn't it? Now look into the center of the diagram of the nitrogen cycle and please listen attentively. Okay. So the plants are eaten up by the animals as food. Animals convert plant proteins into animal proteins and other organic compounds which make up their body. Okay. Now, some animals also eat other animals to obtain nitrogen compounds. We all know only that some animals are eaten up by other animals, isn't it? That is the carnivores, they eat the herbivores, isn't it? So what happens in doing this? They also get the nitrogen compounds indirectly from the plants, isn't it? Thus, animals obtain nitrogen compounds by eating plants as well as other animals. Isn't it, children? Okay. Now, what happens next? When plants and animals die, the complex nitrogen compounds like proteins present in their dead bodies are decomposed and converted into simple compounds of nitrogen by certain bacteria and fungi present in the soil. Okay. And animals' excretion like urine, etc. are also converted into simple compounds of nitrogen. Understand, children? Thereafter, all the simple compounds of nitrogen formed in this way go into the soil. Now what will happen? From the soil, these nitrogen compounds are again absorbed by the new plants for their growth, and this part of nitrogen cycle is repeated endlessly. Children, look at the small circle, or that is the small cycle formed in the center of this diagram. You see compounds of nitrogen in soil absorbed by the plants, eaten by the animals as food. Now both plants and animals will die and their urines and excretions, these all will be decomposed by bacteria and fungi. Okay, the dead body parts of plants and animals and the excretions of the animals, they get decomposed by bacteria and fungi, written as decomposers. Do you see that? And then what happens? Again it is converted into compounds of nitrogen which goes into the soil. Then again it is taken by the plants. So this small cycle keeps on taking place endlessly. Understand, children? On the other hand, some of the compounds of nitrogen formed from the decay of dead plants and animals are decomposed by denitrifying bacteria present in the soil to form nitrogen gas. Understand, children? So what happens? All the compounds of nitrogen are not used again and again by the plants. Some of the compounds of nitrogen are converted back into free nitrogen gas with the help of denitrifying bacteria. Okay? In this way, the nitrogen gas which was removed from the atmosphere during fixation is put back into the atmosphere. Do you understand, children? See, the free nitrogen which was converted into nitrate compounds again comes back to the atmospheric nitrogen gas with the help of denitrifying bacteria. Understand? In order to understand this, children, look at the yellow box given on the right hand side of the diagram of nitrogen cycle in nature. You just see that from one arrow coming out from the compounds of nitrogen in soil, and it is going towards the another box where it is written nitrifying bacteria decomposes some compounds of nitrogen into nitrogen gas. And after that again one arrow is coming out and it is pointing towards the first box from where we started our discussion, where it is written atmospheric nitrogen gas. Understand, children? So in this way the cycle is completed, and this nitrogen cycle keeps on repeating and repeating in the nature. As a result of nitrogen cycle in nature, the percentage of nitrogen gas in the atmosphere remains constant. Understand, children?